Okay, tonight is the 10th of August, and this is the 25th night. We're talking on the Digha Nikaya Suttas. Tonight we come to the second last sutta, sutta number 33, Sangiti Sutta. Sangiti means chanting together. Okay, thus have I heard. Once the Lord was touring in the Mala country with a large company of about 500 monks. Arrived at Pava, the Mala's capital, he stayed in the mango grove of Chunda the smith. Now, at that time, a new meeting hall of the Malas of Pava, called Ubataka, had recently been built, and it had not yet been occupied by any ascetic or Brahmin, or indeed by any human being. Hearing that the Lord was staying in Chunda's mango grove, the Malas of Pava went to see him. Having saluted him, they sat down to one side and said, Lord, the Malas of Pava have recently erected a new meeting hall called Ubataka, and it has not yet been occupied by any ascetic or Brahmin, or indeed by any human being. May the Blessed Lord be the first to use it. Should he do so, that would be for the lasting good and happiness of the Malas of Pava. And the Lord consented by silence. Noting his assent, the Malas rose, saluted him, passed out to his right and went to the meeting hall. They spread mats all round, arranged seats, put on a water pot and an oil lamp, and then returning to the Lord, saluted him, sat down to one side, and reported what they had done, saying, whenever the Blessed Lord is ready. Stop here for a moment. So here you see it's Indian belief that before you use a building, if you let a holy man use it, then you can get married. Then the Lord dressed, took his robe and bowl, and went to the meeting hall with his monks. There he washed his feet, entered the hall and sat down against a central pillar, facing east. The monks, having washed their feet, entered the hall and sat down along the western wall, facing east, with the Lord in front of them. The Pava Malas washed their feet, entered the hall and sat down along the eastern wall, facing west, with the Lord in front of them. Then the Lord spoke to the Malas on Dhamma till far into the night, instructing, inspiring, firing and delighting them. Then he dismissed them, saying, Vasetas, the night has passed away. Now do as you think fit. Very good, Lord, replied the Malas, and they got up, saluted the Lord and went out, passing him by on the right. Stop here for a moment. So you see the Buddha sat down facing east. It's a yoga tradition. The monks meditate. They face east. Maybe because of the direction of rotation of the earth, and it's stated sometimes if they want to, they can face north or so. And you see, when they leave, they keep the Buddha, the right shoulder towards the Buddha. As soon as the Malas had gone, the Lord, surveying the monks sitting silently all about, said to the Venerable Sariputta, the monks are free from sloth and torpor, Sariputta. You think of a discourse on Dhamma to give to them. My back aches, I want to stretch it. Very good, Lord, replied Sariputta. And the Lord, having folded his robe in four, lay down on his right side in the lion posture, with one foot on the other, mindful and clearly aware, and bearing in mind the time to rise. Now at that time, the Niganta Nataputta had just died at Pava, and at his death, the Nigantas were split into two parties, quarreling and disputing, etc. You would have thought they were bent on killing each other. Even the white-robed lay followers were disgusted when they saw that their doctrine and discipline was so ill-proclaimed, having been proclaimed by one not fully enlightened, and now with its support gone, without an arbiter. And the Venerable Sariputta addressed the monks, referring to this situation, and said, so ill-proclaimed was their teaching and discipline, so unedifyingly displayed, and so ineffectual in calming the passions, having been proclaimed by one who was not fully enlightened. But friends, this Dhamma has been well proclaimed by the Lord, the fully enlightened one. And so we should all recite it together without disagreement, so that this holy life may be enduring and established for a long time. thus to be for the welfare and happiness of the multitude, out of compassion for the world, for the benefit, welfare and happiness of devas and humans. And what is this Dhamma that has been well proclaimed by the Lord? There is one thing that was perfectly proclaimed by the Lord, who knows and sees, the fully enlightened Buddha. So we should all recite together for the benefit, welfare and happiness of devas and humans. What is this one thing? Eko Dhammo. All beings are maintained by nutriment. All beings are maintained by volition. Stop here for a moment. All beings are maintained by nutriment. Nutriment of food, ahara, supports beings. Doesn't matter what type of beings, all need nutriment. And according to the suttas, there are 4 types of nutriment. One is material food, like what we take. The second one is contact. Third one is volition. The fourth is consciousness. If you want to know more, you listen to my Digha Nikaya talks. And then secondly, all beings are maintained by volition. In the dependent origination, this word sankhara means volition. That's the way I translate it. And there are 2 sets of sankhara in the suttas. One set that has to do with dependent origination is kaya sankhara, body volition, vachi sankhara, verbal volition, and chitta sankhara, mental volition. And that is to do with dependent origination. There is another set which is almost similar. The first 2 are the same, kaya sankhara, vachi sankhara. The third is mano sankhara. But that in the sutta is always used for the karma, creating karma. We create karma through the body, speech and mind. But in the dependent origination, sankhara volition is the volition to exist, the volition or the will to exist or to function or to live. So the body volition, the body wants to live, the body wants to function. The body volition is breathing, and the verbal volition, when the mouth wants to function or to speak, then you have vitaka and vichara, thought directed and sustained. You have to think first before you can speak. And then mental volition is perception and feeling. Once perception and feeling starts, then consciousness starts and the mind works. Also, this in the suttas we always hear sabbe sankhara, anicca, anicchati. All sankharas are impermanent. And my interpretation is that all volitions are impermanent. It is volitions that create, that wills. Volition means willing, using your will. When you use your will, you create conditions for something, to do something. For example, just to move your hand, you got to have the volition, the intention to move your hand before your hand can move. So everything in the world, before something can happen in the world, there must be a volition behind it. There must be a volition then only. Even for the plants to grow, the plants could have this will to live. That's why you find plants, they go towards the sun. So because everything depends on conditions. If conditions are impermanent, and everything in the world depends on conditions, then if the conditions are impermanent, the volition behind, then everything in the world is even more impermanent. Okay, there are 2 things that were perfectly proclaimed by the Buddha, by the Lord. What are they? Nama, rupa, mentality and materiality, and then ignorance and craving for existence, And then belief in existence and belief in non-existence. And then a lack of a sense of shame and lack of fear of wrongdoing. Number 5, sense of shame and fear of wrongdoing. Number 6, here it says roughness and friendship with evil, but I think a better translation is disobedience and evil friends. And then number 7 is obedience and a good friend or good spiritual friend. And then number 8, skill in knowing offenses and the procedure for rehabilitation for them. This is more concerning monks. Number 9, skill in entering and returning from jhana. Number 10, skill in knowing the elements and in paying attention to them. Number 11, skill in knowing the sense spheres and dependent origination. Number 12, skill in knowing what are causes and what are not. 13, straightforwardness and modesty. 14, patience and gentleness. 15, gentle speech and politeness. 16, non-harming and purity. 17, here it says lack of mindfulness and of clear awareness, or you can say forgetfulness and unmindfulness. And then number 18 is recollection and mindfulness. Recollection also means remembering. And then 19, unguarded sense doors and non-restraint in eating. 20, guarded sense doors and restraint in eating. 21, powers of reflection and mental development. 22, powers of recollection and concentration. 23, tranquility and contemplation, samatha and vipassana. And 24, this is samatha nimitta, tranquility, the sign of tranquility or tranquility object, and upholding the sign. 25, exertion and non-distraction. 26, attainment of perfection of morality and view. 27, failure of morality and view. 28, purity of morality and view. 29, purity of view and the effort to attain it. 30, being moved by a sense of urgency by what should move one and the systematic effort of one so moved. 31, not being content with wholesome acts and not shrinking from exertion. 32, knowledge and liberation. 33, knowledge of the destruction and of their non-recurrence. These are the sets of 2 things that were perfectly proclaimed by the Lord. So we should all recite them together. Stop here for a moment. Just comment on some of this. Number 1, mentality and materiality. Nama rupa is the counterpart of consciousness. So it should be the objects of consciousness. Objects of consciousness. We have the mental part and the material part. Number 3 is belief in existence and belief in non-existence after death. Belief in existence is the eternalist. And the belief in non-existence is the annihilationist. This 24, samatha nimitta, is the object of tranquility, object of tranquility, and pagaha nimitta is upholding the object. Say for example, the object of tranquility is anapanasati, you are practicing the breath meditation. So samatha nimitta is the breath itself, and upholding the object is to uphold it in your mind all the time, not to to lose your mindfulness. If you lose your mindfulness, you're not upholding the object or grasping the object. Then you lose then you become forgetful. But if you remember, there is recollecting. Sati. Sati is remembering. To uphold your object, your nimitta. So in the suttas, this nimitta is your object of your concentration. And later books like the Visuddhi Magga, they interpret a bit differently. Okay, we come to 1.10. There are sets of 3 things. Which are they? 3 unwholesome roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Lobha, dosa, and moha. 3 wholesome roots of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. 3 kinds of wrong conduct in body, speech, and mind. 3 kinds of right conduct in body, speech, and mind. 3 kinds of unwholesome thoughts, of sensuality, of enmity or hostility, and of cruelty. 3 kinds of wholesome thoughts, of renunciation of sense pleasures, of non-enmity and non-cruelty. 3 kinds of unwholesome motivation or intention, through sensuality, enmity, and cruelty. 3 kinds of wholesome motivation or intention, through renunciation, non-enmity, and non-cruelty. 3 kinds of unwholesome perception of sensuality, enmity, and cruelty. 3 kinds of wholesome perception of renunciation, non-enmity, non-cruelty. 3 unwholesome elements, sensuality, enmity, cruelty. 3 wholesome elements, renunciation, non-enmity, non-cruelty. 3 more elements of sense desire, form and formless element. 3 more elements, element of form, formless, and element of cessation. 3 more elements, a low element, middling, and sublime element. 3 kinds of craving, sensual craving, craving for becoming or being, craving for extinction or non-being. 3 more kinds of craving, craving for the world of sense desires, for the world of form and for the formless world. 3 more kinds of craving for the world of form, formless world, and for cessation. The 3 factors, sangyojana, which Asutapana destroys. Identity view, Sakaya Ditti, attachment to rules and rituals, Silabata Paramasa, and doubt, Vichikicha. 3 asavas, asavas here they say corruptions. I prefer the uncontrolled mental outflows of sense desire, of becoming, and of ignorance. 3 kinds of becoming or being in the world of sense desire, in the world of form and the formless world. 3 quests for sense desires, for becoming, and for the holy life. 3 forms of conceit. I am better than so and so, I am equal to so and so, I am worse than so and so. 3 times, past, future, and present. 3 ends. The end of this identity is arising, its cessation. 3 feelings, pleasant, painful, and neither. 3 kinds of suffering, as pain, as inherent in volition, as due to change. Stop here for a moment. So pain, suffering due to pain. Then suffering due to volition is you make a decision to do something and then later you regret it. You made the wrong decision, so you suffer for it. For example, you make the decision to kill some animal and later you regret it. And then suffering due to change because of impermanence. Maybe somebody close to you passes away and then you suffer. 3 accumulations. Evil with fixed result, good with fixed result, indeterminate. 3 obscurations, one hesitates, vacillates, is undecided. 3 things a Tathagata has no need to guard against. Tathagata is perfectly pure in body, conduct, speech, and in mind. There is no misdeed of body, speech, or mind which he must conceal, lest anyone should get to hear about it. 3 obstacles are lust, hatred and delusion. 3 fires, lust, hatred and delusion. 3 more fires, the fire of those to be revered, of the householder and of those worthy of offerings. 3-4 classification of matter, visible and resisting, invisible and resisting, invisible and unresisting. 3 kinds of karmic volition, meritorious, demeritorious and imperturbable. This imperturbable normally refers to the 4th jhana and above. 3 persons, the learner, non-learner, and the one who is neither. Learner and non-learner are Aryans. So the one who is neither is the ordinary person, Putu jhana. 3 elders, an elder by birth, because according to age, in Dhamma and by convention. Say a person elder in Dhamma, a person who is more advanced in the Dhamma, and then by convention, for example, a person has become a monk longer, so he is elder because of the number of vasas he has. 3 grounds based on merit, that of giving, morality and meditation, dana, sila, bhavana. 3 grounds for reproof, based on what has been seen, heard or suspected. That means you have seen somebody do wrong, or you heard somebody do wrong, or you suspect somebody do wrong, and you can reprove that person. 3 kinds of rebirth in the realm of sense desire. There are beings who desire what presents itself to them and are in the grip of that desire, such as human beings, some devas and some in states of woe. There are beings who desire what they have created, such as the devas who rejoice in their own creation, Nimana Rati, heaven. This is the fifth level, sensual desire, heaven. There are beings who rejoice in the creation of others, such as the devas having power over others' creations. Paranimita Vasavati is the highest heaven, the 6th heaven in the sensual desire realm. 3 happy rebirths. There are beings who, having continually produced happiness now, dwell in happiness, such as the devas of the Brahma group. This is the 1st jhana, plane. There are beings who are overflowing with happiness, drenched with it, full of it, immersed in it, so that they occasionally exclaim, "Oh, what bliss!" such as the radiant devas, Abhasara. This is the 2nd jhana, heaven. There are beings immersed in happiness who, supremely blissful, experience only perfect happiness, such as the lustrous deva, Subhakinna. This is the 3rd jhana, heaven. 3 kinds of wisdom, of the learner, non-learner, and one who is neither. 3 kinds of wisdom based on thought or thinking, on hearing or learning, on mental development, meditation. 3 armaments or weapons, what one has learned, detachment and wisdom. 3 faculties, of knowing that one will know the unknown, of highest knowledge, of the one who knows. 3 eyes, the flesh eye, divine eye or heavenly eye, and the eye of wisdom. 3 kinds of training, in higher morality, higher mind and higher wisdom. 3 kinds of development of the body, kaya, bhavana, development of the body, of mind and of wisdom. Stop here for a moment. I think last year or the year before, we went to the suttas. There was one place, I'm not sure, I don't quite remember where, but it talks about the develop in body and develop in mind. And if I remember correctly, one who is developed in body, when pleasant feeling arises, it does not invade his mind and obsess it. And the one who is developed in mind, when unpleasant feelings or painful feelings are experienced, it does not invade his mind and obsess it. If I remember correctly. This development of wisdom, I don't remember it's stated anywhere. Probably that's the Arahant. 3 unsurpassables of vision, of practice, of liberation. 3 kinds of concentration, with thought directed and sustained. With thought sustained, but without thought directed. And then the third one is without thought directed and without thought sustained. 3 more kinds of concentration on emptiness, the signless and the desireless. 3 purities of body, speech and mind. 3 qualities of the sage as to body, speech and mind. 3 skills in going forward, going down in means to progress. 3 intoxications with health, with youth, with life. I'll stop here for a moment. When we are young, we are very healthy, we are very strong, so we are intoxicated or we are very arrogant about our health. And when you are young also, we tend to be arrogant of our youth. We think we are very beautiful and we look down on old people who look ugly. And then also people with life, we are also intoxicated with life. Never think that very soon this life force it will go away. Every day is getting less and less and less. 3 predominant influences: oneself, the world, the Dhamma. 3 topics of discussion, talk maybe of the past and of the future and of the present. 3 knowledges of one's past lives, of the disease and rebirth of beings, of the destruction of the asavas. These, stop here for a moment. These are the 3 knowledges the Buddha attained on the night of enlightenment. 3 abidings: Deva abiding, Brahma abiding, and the Aryan abiding. 3 miracles of psychic power, of telepathy, that means knowing what people are thinking, of instruction, the ability to teach. These are the sets of 3 things, so should all recite together. I stop here for a moment. Anything anybody want to discuss? If I go too fast, I may not have the chance to discuss.
What is the eye of wisdom?
Eye of wisdom is not something physical. It's the wisdom you attain when you learn the Dhamma. For example, when a person attains the right view, he understands the Dhamma, then the Buddha calls it the eye of Dhamma. He has attained the eye of Dhamma. That's the eye of wisdom. No? Sometimes they translate it as the eye of Dhamma, sometimes they translate it as the vision of Dhamma. Any other thing? Okay, we continue. 1.11. There are sets of 4 things which were perfectly proclaimed by the Lord. The 4 intense states of mindfulness, the 4 satipatthana. Here among abides contemplating body in the body, ardent, clearly aware and mindful, having put aside hankering and fretting for the world. Here abides contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, clearly aware and mindful, etc. Number 2, the 4 great efforts, samappadana. Here among arouses his will, makes an effort, stirs up energy, exerts his mind and strives to prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states. He rouses his will, etc., and strives to overcome evil, unwholesome mental states that have arisen. He rouses his will and strives to produce unarisen, wholesome mental states. He rouses his will and strives to maintain wholesome mental states that have arisen, not to let them fade away, to bring them to greater growth, to the full perfection of development. And this is the 4 samappadana. The 4 parts, or the 4 bases of psychic power, 4 iddhipada. Here among develops concentration of intention accompanied by effort of will, concentration of energy accompanied by effort of will, concentration of consciousness, concentration of investigation accompanied by effort of will. Or you can also say concentration of desire and determined effort, concentration of energy and determined effort, concentration of mind and determined effort, concentration of investigation and determined effort. Number 4 is the 4 jhanas. Here a monk, detached from all sense desires, detached from unwholesome states, enters and remains in the first jhana, which is with thought directed and sustained, born of detachment, filled with delight and joy. And with the subsiding of thought directed and sustained, by gaining inner tranquility and oneness of mind, he enters and remains in the second jhana, which is without thought directed and sustained, born of concentration, filled with delight and joy. And with the fading away of delight, remaining imperturbable, mindful and clearly aware, he experiences in himself that joy of which the noble ones say, "Happy is he who dwells with equanimity and mindfulness." He enters and remains in the third jhana, and having given up pleasure and pain, and with the disappearance of former gladness and sadness, he enters and remains in the fourth jhana, which is beyond pleasure and pain, with utter purity of equanimity and mindfulness. Number 5, the 4 samadhi bhavana, the 4 developments of concentration. This meditation, when developed and expanded, leads A, to happiness here and now, B, gaining knowledge and vision, C, mindfulness and clear awareness or recollection and mindfulness, D, destruction of the asavas. A, how does this practice lead to happiness here and now? Here a monk practices the 4 jhanas. So when he is abiding in jhana, he is happy here and now. B, how does it lead to the gaining of knowledge and vision? Here a monk attends to the perception of light. He fixes his mind to the perception of day, by night as by day as by night. In this way, with the mind clear and unclouded, he develops a state of mind that is full of brightness. You stop here for a moment. So you see, to gain knowledge and vision, it is not by practicing mindfulness. Here the Buddha says, you got to make the mind bright. And a bright mind is a mind which enters jhana, because the word jhana itself means fire. So the implication of fire is that it's bright. The state of jhana is a state of brightness. That's why beings who develop jhana, when they are reborn in the form realm, their bodies are extremely bright. Even the first jhana itself, as I mentioned before, the Brahma's light can pervade 1,000 worlds, up to 100,000 worlds. So far away, they're so bright. So if you want to gain this knowledge and vision, jnana dasana, you have to cultivate jhana until the mind is very bright. And the state of the fourth jhana is very bright. C, how does it lead to mindfulness and recollection? Here a monk knows feelings as they arise, remain and vanish. He knows perceptions as they arise, remain and vanish. He knows thoughts as they arise, remain and vanish. Stop here for a moment. So to practice sati sampajanya, sati is recollection or a specific mindfulness, and sampajanya is general mindfulness. So to practice that, you have to be very mindful and keep your mind always on your feelings, on your perceptions, on your thoughts, and not to go outside to Mara's playground of sight, sound, smells and taste. Sight, sound, smells, taste and touch. D, how does this practice lead to the destruction of the asavas? Here a monk abides in the contemplation of the rise and fall of the 5 aggregates of attachment. This is material form, this is its arising, this is its ceasing. These are feelings, perception, volition, consciousness. This is how they arise, this is how they cease. So to attain liberation, we have to constantly understand the 5 khandhas, the 5 aggregates that we attach to, form of body, body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. Basically body and mind, see what they are like and how they arise, how they cease, and how they are impermanent depending on conditions. Number 6, 4 boundless states. Here a monk with a heart filled with loving kindness pervades first one quarter, then the second, third, and the fourth quarter. Thus he stays, spreading the thought of loving kindness above, below, and across, everywhere, always with a heart filled with loving kindness, abundant, magnified, unbounded, without hatred or ill will, and likewise or similarly with compassion, joy, and equanimity. Four formless jhanas, here among by passing entirely beyond bodily sensations. Bodily sensations means the five senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, taste, touch. That means the five senses close by the disappearance of all sense of resistance and by non-attraction to the perception of diversity, seeing that space is infinite, reaches and remains in the sphere of infinite space. This is the arupa, the first arupa jhana. So to attain the arupas, your five sense doors must close. And by passing entirely beyond the sphere of infinite space, seeing that consciousness is infinite, he reaches and remains in the sphere of infinite consciousness. And by passing entirely beyond the sphere of infinite consciousness, seeing that there is no thing, he reaches and remains in the sphere of no-thingness. And by passing entirely beyond the sphere of no-thingness, he reaches and remains in the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. These are the four arupas, the four supports. Here among judges that one thing is to be pursued, one thing is to be endured, one thing to be avoided, one thing to be suppressed. You have different interpretations of what this means. One thing to be pursued could be wholesome states. One thing to be endured could be suffering or pain. One thing to be avoided could be unwholesome states. One thing to be suppressed is unwholesome thoughts. Four Aryan lineages, Arya Vamsa. Here among A is content with any old robe, praises such contentment and does not try to obtain robes improperly and unsuitably. He does not worry if he does not get a robe, and if he does, he is not full of greedy, blind desire, but makes use of it, aware of such dangers and wisely aware of its true purpose. Nor is he conceited about being thus content with any old robe, and he does not disparage others. And one who is thus skillful, not lax, clearly aware and mindful, is known as a monk who is true to the ancient original Aryan lineage. Again, a monk is content with any alms food he may get. C, a monk is content with any old lodging. And D, a monk being fond of abandoning, rejoices in abandoning, and being fond of developing, rejoices in developing, and not therefore conceited. And one who is thus skillful, not lax, clearly aware and mindful, is known as a monk who is true to the ancient original Aryan lineage. This the fourth one, fond of abandoning unwholesome states, fond of developing wholesome states, like the jhanas. Number 10, four efforts. The effort of restraint, abandoning, development, and preservation. What is the effort of restraint? Here a monk seeing an object with the eye does not grasp at the whole or its details, striving to restrain what might cause evil, unwholesome states, such as hankering or sorrow to flood in on him. Thus he watches over the sense of sight and guards it. Similarly with sound, smells, taste, touch, and thoughts. That means he guards his six senses. Don't pay too much attention. What is the effort of abandoning? Here a monk does not assent to a thought of lust, hatred, or cruelty that has arisen, but abandons it, dispels it, destroys it, makes it disappear. So abandoning means abandon thoughts, unwholesome thoughts. What is the effort of development? Here a monk develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness or recollection based on solitude, detachment, extinction, leading to maturity of surrender. He develops the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma, energy, delight, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. So the effort of development means to develop the enlightenment factors, bojjhanga. And what is the effort of preservation? Here a monk keeps firmly in his mind a favorable object of concentration. This one should be samadhi nimitta, which has arisen, such as a skeleton or a corpse that is full of worms, blue-black, full of holes, bloated. So to keep preservation means to preserve your object of concentration all the time. 11. 4 knowledges: knowledge of Dhamma, of what is consonant with it, knowledge of others' minds and conventional knowledge. 12. 4 more knowledges: knowledge of suffering, origin, cessation, and the path to the end of suffering. 4 factors of stream attainment: association with true persons, that means the Arya, hearing the true Dhamma, that means the suttas, thorough attention and practice of the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma. So to become a Sotapanna, you have to practice these 4 things. You have to go near an Arya, you have to hear the true Dhamma, you have to have thorough attention when you hear the true Dhamma, and you have to practice the Dhamma in accordance with Dhamma. So you see here, hearing the true Dhamma. Without hearing the true Dhamma, you cannot become a Sotapanna. Number 14, 4 characteristics of a stream winner. Here the Aryan disciple is possessed of unwavering confidence in the Buddha thus: this blessed Lord is an Arahant, Sammasambuddha, endowed with vision, with wisdom, etc. B. He is possessed of unwavering confidence in the Dhamma thus: well, proclaimed by the Lord is the Dhamma, visible here and now, timeless, inviting inspection, leading onward to be comprehended by the wise, each one for himself. C. He is possessed of unwavering confidence in the Sangha, well directed is the Sangha, etc. D. He is possessed of morality dear to the noble ones, unbroken, without defect, unspotted, without inconsistency, liberating, praised by the wise and conducive to concentration. Stop here for a moment. So these are 4 characteristics of a stream winner. Stream winner or Sotapanna has unshakable faith in the Buddha, unshakable faith in the Dhamma, unshakable faith in the Sangha. And he has the Aryan Sila. What is the Aryan Sila? Aryan Sila in the Noble Eightfold Path consists of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. If you analyze these 3 factors, it's basically 7 precepts. 3 concerning the body: not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct. 4 concerning the speech: not to lie, not to carry tales to cause disharmony, not to speak coarse or vulgar words, and not to engage in idle gossip. These are the 7 precepts of an Aryan. 4 fruits of the ascetic life: the fruits of stream entry, one's returner, non-returner of arahantship. First one is Sotapanna, Sakadagamin, Anagamin, and Arahant. 4 elements: earth, water, fire, air or wind. 4 nutriments: material, food, gross or subtle, contact, volition, and consciousness. 4 stations of consciousness. Consciousness gains a footing either in relation to materiality, with materiality as object and basis, as a place for enjoyment, or similarly in regard to feelings, perceptions, volition, and there it grows, increases, and flourishes. 4 ways of going wrong: through desire, hatred, delusion, and fear. 4 arousals of craving. Craving arises because of robes, arms, lodging, being and non-being for a monk. 4 kinds of progress: painful progress with slow comprehension, painful progress with quick comprehension, pleasant progress with slow comprehension, pleasant progress with quick comprehension. Painful means, stop here for a moment. Painful means these defilements give you a lot of pain. People who have a temper, gives them painful progress. People with lust or sensual desire also find the holy life very painful. But somebody with not strong hindrances, then these don't disturb him so much. 4 more kinds of progress: progress with impatience, progress with patience, controlled progress, and calm progress. 4 ways of Dhamma: without hankering, without enmity, with right mindfulness, with right concentration. 4 ways of undertaking Dhamma. There is the way that is painful in the present and brings painful future results. Painful in the present and brings pleasant future results. Pleasant in the present and brings painful future results. And pleasant in the present and brings pleasant future results. Stop here for a moment. Painful in the present and brings painful future results. This probably refers to those external ascetics who torture themselves. They do all kinds of ascetic practices which cause them a lot of suffering now. And because of their wrong view, in the future they take rebirth in a woeful plane. B, painful in the present and brings pleasant future results. Like somebody practicing the Noble Eightfold Path and very strict with the Vinaya and all that. So he feels a bit of suffering. But because he struggles hard and attains jhana and all that, so he has a pleasant future result. Pleasant in the present and brings painful future results. These are some of the, for example, the external ascetics. They are naked and then they see each other naked and then they engage in sexual intercourse. So it's pleasant now, but in the future they will suffer. Pleasant in the present and brings pleasant future results. These are those monks whose hindrances are not strong and they easily attain the jhanas. So the holy life is pleasant for them now, and in the future they have a good rebirth again. 4 divisions of Dhamma: morality, concentration, wisdom, liberation. 4 powers: energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. 4 kinds of resolve to gain wisdom, truth, relinquishment, and tranquility. 4 ways of answering questions. A, to answer it directly. B, requiring an explanation. You have to explain first before answering. C, requiring a counter question. When somebody asks you a question, you ask him another question. To be set aside, it means you don't want to answer the question. 4 kinds of karma: black karma with black result, bright karma with bright result, black and bright karma with black and bright result, karma that is neither black nor bright, with neither black nor bright result, leading to the destruction of karma. Black karma with black result is somebody do evil and then you suffer for it. That's the black result. Bright karma with bright result, you do good and you get good. C, you do good and bad, black and bright. And then you are reborn in a place where we have happiness and also suffering, like the human world. Karma that is neither black nor bright, and with neither black nor bright result, is a monk who is not interested to do good and he does not do evil. He strives in the holy life, and then he attains liberation. So there is no more result in the happy or unhappy realms of rebirth. 4 things to be realized by seeing: former lives, to be realized by recollection; passing away and re-arising, to be realized by the divine eye; the 8 deliverances, to be realized with the mental body; destruction of the asavas, to be realized by wisdom; the 4 floods: sensuality, becoming, views and ignorance. The 4 yokes is the same as before. The 4 unyokings: from sensuality, becoming, views and ignorance. The 4 ties: the body tie, kaya ganta, of hankering, ill will, attachment to rules and rituals, dogmatic fanaticism. 4 clingings: to sensuality, views, rules and rituals, and ego or self-belief. 4 kinds of birth, from an egg, womb, from moisture and spontaneous rebirth. 4 ways of descent into the womb. One descends into the mother's womb unknowing, stays there unknowing and leaves it unknowing. B, one enters the womb knowing, stays there unknowing and leaves it unknowing. C, one enters the womb knowing, stays there knowing and leaves it unknowing. D, one enters the womb knowing, stays there knowing and leaves it knowing. 38. 4 ways of getting a new personality. There is an acquisition of personality that is brought about by one's own volition, not another's. B. Another's volition, not one's own. C. Both. D. Neither. This one I'm not sure how it comes about. 4 purifications of offerings. There is an offering purified by the giver, not by the recipient. By the recipient, not by the giver. By neither, by both. This one, purified means becomes higher. For example, by the giver, not by the recipient. That means the person who gives is a very pure person, a very virtuous person. But the person who receives is not a virtuous person. For example, the Aryan lay person gives to a beggar who might be a criminal. So the gift is purified by the giver. B. By the recipient, not by the giver. For example, ordinary person, Putujana, does not keep the precept and all that. He gives to a holy man, Arya. Then that gift is purified by the recipient. C. By neither. That means the giver and the recipient both are not holy, both are not moral, etc. And then D. By both. That means both the giver and the recipient are virtuous, or maybe even Aryans. 4 bases of sympathy: generosity, pleasing speech, beneficial conduct, and impartiality. That means treating everybody equal. 4 un-Aryan modes of speech: lying, slander, abuse, idle gossip. 4 Aryan modes of speech: refraining from lying, slander, abuse, idle gossip. 4 more un-Aryan modes of speech: claiming to have seen, heard, sensed, known what has not been seen, heard, sensed, and known. 4 more Aryan modes of speech: stating that one has not seen, heard, sensed, known what one has not seen, heard, sensed, and known. 4 more un-Aryan modes of speech: claiming not to have seen, heard, sensed, known what one has seen, heard, sensed, known. That means lying. 4 more Aryan modes of speech: stating that one has seen, heard, sensed, known what one has seen, heard, sensed, known. 4 persons. Here a person A torments himself, is given to self-tormenting. B torments others. C torments himself and others. D torments neither himself nor others. Thereby dwells in this life without craving, release, cool, enjoying bliss, become as Brahma. This one, the first one, torments himself, is like some of the ascetics. They do all kinds of practice and they inflict self-torture on themselves. The second type torments others, maybe a king who is very powerful and is a cruel king, he torments others. And C, he torments himself and others. Some people, like during the Buddha's time, even the king, they do certain penances, torture himself, and then does a sacrifice to heaven. Then he'll kill a lot of animals, 500 or 1,000 animals. So he torments himself and makes the animals suffer. Then D is like a monk. He does not torment himself and does not torment others. 48. 4 more person. Here a man's life benefits himself but not others. B. Others but not himself. C. Neither himself nor others. D. Both. 4 more persons. A. Living in darkness and bound for darkness. C. Living in B. Living in darkness and bound for light. C. Living in the light and bound for darkness. D. Living in the light and bound for the light. This one, I guess, living in darkness and bound for darkness. This one is somebody with bad karma, so he's born in a very poor and might be paraplegic and all that. and then because he does bad karma, he's bound for a bad rebirth again, bound for darkness. Then B is person in darkness bound for light. This one might be somebody under very poor circumstances, maybe like during the Buddha's time there was a beggar. He begged for his food and he didn't have money and all that, but he came to listen to the Buddha's Dhamma. After that he was born in the heavens of the 33 very powerful. So he understood the Dhamma. Then even though he was very poor and begged for his food, but he lived according to the Dhamma. And maybe he heard the Dhamma and understood the Dhamma and became a stream enterer. C, living in the light and bound for darkness. This is some people who are very rich and enjoying life and every day wine, women and song but because of bad karma they are bound for a bad rebirth. And D, living in the light and bound for light. Some people born under very good karmic circumstances, are very rich and handsome or beautiful, etc., and do a lot of good deeds, and then they're bound for a good rebirth. 54 more persons: the unshakable ascetic, the blue lotus ascetic, the white lotus ascetic, the subtly perfect ascetic. This one is mentioned in the I think Anguttara Nikaya. We went through. These are the sets of 4 things which were perfectly proclaimed by the Lord. So we should all recite them together for the benefit, welfare and happiness of devas and humans. And we stop here for tonight. It's quite a long sutta. Anything to discuss?
There is in regards to Buddha, to this Ananda, on his request to ordain a nun. So he says that because of the ordination of the nuns, the true Dharma lasts still 1,200 years. What is it here?
The Buddha said, if nuns did not ordain, then the Sangha is strong, and the true Dhamma will remain for 1,000 years. But after nuns were ordained, then the Sasana is weakened, and the true Dhamma will remain for 500 years, meaning that it is unpolluted for 500 years. And true enough, we find after 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, then false Dhamma appeared. What is this false Dhamma? Basically Mahayana and Hinayana. Mahayana, they came up with a lot of new sutras, and the writers of these Mahayana sutras basically were Nagarjuna, Asvaghosha and Vasubandhu. These 3 wrote a lot. The most was Nagarjuna, and he, in his biography, he said that the Buddha hid these sutras, Mahayana sutras, in the ocean, Dragon Palace, and he went down to the Dragon Palace and took it up. But that is unacceptable to us, because during the Buddha's time there were no books. How could the Buddha have hidden the books in the ocean? Secondly, the Buddha said he has no closed fist of a teacher. He does not hold back anything. Yes, all that was important, he already disclosed to his disciples. So also you find the Mahayana sutras, they always talk about Mahayana and Hinayana. This Mahayana and Hinayana only started 500 years after the Buddha passed away. So earlier than that there was no Mahayana and Hinayana. So we know from that that these sutras could not have existed during the Buddha's time. So these Mahayana sutras are found in Mahayana, for example, including Vajrayana. Mahayana meaning nowadays like China, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, these countries. And then Vajrayana would be the Tibetan Buddhism. So Hinayana is another wrong teaching. Hinayana refers to those who follow the later books like the Abhidhamma, the commentaries, and other books like the Visuddhimagga. Yatipakarana, Pitakopadesa, and all these later books. So, because they follow the later books, they don't realize, just like the Mahayana Sutras, there are contradictions with the earliest Pali Suttas. So the real Theravada should practice only the 5 Nikayas. But even then, the last Nikaya is corrupted. So like after this Digha Nikaya, I'm going to talk on the Kudaka Nikaya. And out of the 15 books in the Kudaka Nikaya, only 6 are reliable. So I'm going to only to talk on the 6 books. So the Buddha said the reason the sasana, the Buddhist religion, is weakened after nuns were ordained, because the Buddha said just like a house, if it is attacked by robbers or bandits, and they have all men inside the house, they can defend the house better than if they had some women inside. If they had some women inside, they have to fight the bandits and they have to worry about the women. So when after women were ordained, the monks have to practice the holy life, and then they have to look after the nuns again. So it's a burden for them. That's why, like in this monastery I mentioned last night, I prefer not to have any nuns here. Don't have to carry the burden.
Got a question here. On page 493, item 37, all ways of descent into the world. One descends into the mother's womb knowingly, and one descends into the
what about it?
Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, this one, the Buddha says if a being is going to be reborn into the womb, after that being dies, then he is known as a Gandhabba. Some books call it the intermediate body. In Chinese they call it Zhong Yin Shen. So this is called intermediate body because it's only a transition state. So it's like you catch a plane. You want to go to like our Kusala. He wants to go to Switzerland. He catches a plane from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore. And then Singapore is only transit for a short while before he catches the next plane to Switzerland. So that this Gandhabba state or intermediate body is a transitory stage. It's on transit only, a short time only. So this Gandhabba, he enters the womb when the conditions are right. And what's the right condition? Mother and father must come together, and mother is fertile, is in season. So the egg is fertilized. Once the egg is fertilized, then this Gandhabba can enter into that egg. Okay, so when he enters into the egg, most beings will be blur. So the first one, he enters into the mother's womb. He's not aware, he's not mindful. And then he stays there also not aware, he's still blur. And then he comes out of the womb also blur, he doesn't know. And the second one, he enters the womb knowing, he knows that he enters the womb. But when he's there, he's like in a dream state, he's sleeping. So he's unknowing and leaves it also unknowing. The third one, he enters the womb knowing, stays there also knowing. But when it's time to come out, when it's time to come out, he's unknowing. He's like sleepy, he doesn't know. And then the fourth one, his samadhi is good. Then he enters the womb, he knows. He stays there also, he knows. When he leaves the womb also, he knows. Okay? Oh yes.
One question on page 491, right at the bottom. Creating arousals in the mind, etc.
Number one?
Page 491.
491.
Right at the bottom, 4 arousals of creating.
Okay.
What does it mean creating for the last one, being and not being?
I guess it refers to being and non-being. It's not form and formless. Let's see what the 1065. Commentary also don't know. This is not some. Or it says commentary says all honey, ghee, etc. But it says mysterious, not supported by none. Being and non-being. Ropes we know lah, arms we know lah. Okay, it could be. I give a guess lah. Being means the monk. Because he knows he's practicing the holy life, the karma. Generally, if a person wears the robe and practices the holy life sincerely, sincerely means he keeps the precepts, and he tries to meditate and all that. But maybe he's not a good meditator, and being means he wants to be reborn in a beautiful heaven with maybe 500 devis around him. And non-being means he has excessive desire for liberation. When a person to stop being, when a person has excessive desire to attain liberation, then he uses too much effort. He also will not attain liberation, because if he uses too much effort, the mind is boiling. The desire is so strong, like the Buddha. Initially, he put in so much effort to become liberated. He tortured himself, all kinds of ascetic practices he did, austerities, and he could not get out of samsara. Okay?
Can you elaborate on the word enmity and cruelty?
Say again.
Enmity and cruelty.
Enmity and cruelty. Enmity refers to hostility, not having metta. That means aggressive. Some people they don't have much metta, so they are very rough, aggressive type of person. Cruelty means wants to harm. Want to harm somebody. The first one, the enmity, he has not come to the stage of wanting to harm somebody, but it's just that his character is very rough and hostile and don't have metta.
Okay. It's loving kindness and compassion. I thought the person if you have loving kindness and compassion, it should come.
That's a slight difference. Loving kindness, metta, refers to goodwill towards all beings, generally. Compassion means you see somebody suffering, and then you feel pity, you want to help. Okay? There's a slight difference. Yeah?
Okay. Referring to page 488. 488. The verse 5. It seems that you develop mindfulness on feeling and the mind can gain mindfulness and clear awareness, and to contemplate on the Dhamma can lead to the destruction of the corruptions. But how about the bodies? In the four Satipatthana, there should be a body too. But why is not stated here?
Under C, is it?
Yeah, under C and D. Under C, the contemplation of feeling and perception are mentioned. And under D, the contemplation of Dhamma is mentioned. But how about the contemplation of body?
Under D you have body, the five aggregates. body, feeling, perception, volition, consciousness.
But this is quite different from the contemplation of the body. Here is included in the contemplation of the 5 aggregates.
Okay.
But the Satipatthana, the first one is the contemplation of the body, and the last one is the contemplation of Dhamma, which has 5 aggregates inside.
Okay, this number 5 is talking about Samadhi Bhavana, development of Samadhi. Okay, how to develop Samadhi. So to develop Samadhi for Sati Sampajanya, that means to keep your mind focus on Sati and clear awareness. You must always look inside. Then, and when your perceptions arise, your feelings, your thoughts arise, you notice them. And you notice them go away. So if you practice this, it helps to develop your concentration. This is not Sati Sampajanya. This is not Sati. This is Samadhi Bhavana, development of Samadhi. And then the other one that leads to the destruction of the asavas is to contemplate the 5 aggregates to develop your Samadhi. So this is only the development, the steps to develop your Samadhi. It is not Satipatthana.
On the same page and 4 again, also the 4 concentrated meditation. So here one fixes his mind to the perception of day by night as by day. Recently, he fixes his perception to something bright.
Yeah.
Day and night.
Yes. So at night also, his mind lights up like daytime.
Page 485, number 39. Two grounds for improve based on what was received first accepted. What does that mean?
That means if you want to, like during this Vasa period, the monks stay together for 3 months. At the end of the rains, we have a ceremony called what do you call it? Pavarana. This Pavarana, the monks will invite each other to criticize, to reprove him. So, if you see another monk has done something wrong, based on what you have seen, you have heard, or you suspect that he has done wrong, then you can reprove him, you can criticize him. Okay?
So this is like a royal commission, no holds barred,
but then we also have to practice tactfulness. Normally, certain things we don't want to bring it out in public, but in private you can tell the monk. Okay, shall we end here?